Jai Jinendra. Welcome to Adults Class 2, Practical Applications of Jainism. Let's start with the Nokar mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayaryanam, Namo Ujayanam, Namo Loe Savasamanam, Yeso Panchanamukaro, Sarva Pava Panasano, Mangalancha Savesim, Paramam Have Mangalam. So today we're going to be doing goal setting. So take a sheet and pass it around. And for everybody online, for Kinjal who's online, you can find our goal setting sheets at jainismforeveryone.com, and you can look under the Documents tab, and you'll see a SMART Goals table, and you'll see a Spiritual Regimen and Toolbox document. And feel free to print those out, because that's all we're doing right now. And you know, the other day I was waffling on whether we should do this or not. Because yeah, you can do this at home, you know, you come here to learn about Jainism, you don't come here to do paperwork. But then I realized, like, this is a gift, right, that I'm giving you, right? Because time is the ultimate precious resource, right? That it's hard to make, you can't make any more of it. And, you know, when was the last time you had an hour to sit down and to think about your life? And if you did have that hour, did you use it to sit down and think about your life? So I was waffling on that, and then I realized, it's a gift that I give you, and then I realized, like, wait a minute, you don't come here to learn about Jainism, because that's not what the class is called. You come here to learn about how to apply Jainism to your life. And then I thought, well, this is applying Jainism to your life. This is it right here. We should actually be doing this more often, right? Because are you going to do it at home? Does anybody do this at home? No, nobody does it at home, right? So you have the chance now. You have an hour to think about your life. The kids are over there, you know. You don't have to worry about that. And it might be scary to you. It might be scary, like, you might disguise feeling scared as, we're doing this again, or, why do we have to do this, or, I picked the wrong day to come to class, you know. And that's a mask, right? That's a mask for being scared. Hey, come on in. You're scared to think about your life, just like you're scared to turn the radio off when you're in the car, because you're scared of being alone with your thoughts. And it's natural. You might be scared. There's a number of reasons why you might be scared to think about your life. The first is because it's not going the way you want it to go. And the second is because when you realize that you're the only one responsible for that. If your life is not going the way you want it to go, then it's only your fault and nobody else's fault. So that might be a reason why you might be hesitating. You might be wanting to get up and get out of class now that you know what we're doing today. And not want to be rude, so you're just sitting here listening to me talk. But it's important. It's important to do this. It's important that we're accountable to each other, and most of all, we're accountable to ourselves. Because if you're not taking control of your life, then somebody else is controlling your life. Either your boss is controlling your life, your family's controlling your life, your kids are controlling your life. You're pursuing somebody else's agenda if you're not working towards your own goals. And that's why this is important. And that's why, as much as we may not want to do it, or we may want to keep discussing about Jainism because we're good at that, and not want to do this because we're bad at applying Jainism to our life, well, that's the name of the class. I'm sorry. That's the sign on the front door. It's Practical Applications of Jainism. And this class has always been about, and will always be about, how to apply Jainism to your life. And now is our chance to do it. And I know some of you have done this many times. Some of you have done this many times, and this is what, your 10th time doing it? Your 20th time doing it? Has it helped?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. It has helped. See, don't go out. See, don't leave now that you know what we're doing, now that you see all these papers here. Tell me, how has it helped?
It keeps refocusing your priorities.
Right. Because sometimes they change, right? Sometimes the things you fill out on this form changes. And And so that's all we're doing today. Thank you for everybody joining us online. Thanks to everybody joining us online. We are working on goal setting today. We're also working on our spiritual hygiene toolbox and regimen. If you don't have those, you can go to jainismforeveryone.com and you can click on the Documents tab. You'll find those 2 pieces of paper there and you can print them out. So go ahead and print them out because that's all we're doing today. I'm giving you the gift of 1 hour to think about your life. So tell me again, how has it helped you? It helped you because it refocused your priorities. And have you been writing different things down, or have you just been writing the same things down?
No, fine-tuning more or less. Then it's a similar things, but more like a fine-tuning, right? So for instance, I had something on physical goal, for instance, going 30 minutes exercise a day or something, right?
Wow.
Never achieve that. So it's now spread over the week, hitting the gym for certain times and expanding that you can manage it and achieve that. So
right.
That's one of that.
So you found out it wasn't achievable for you.
It was not achievable. Yeah, it's fine-tuning it.
Right. So great segue to figure out how to use this chart. Right now we're looking at this first side. This is our goal sheet chart. We want to make SMART goals. That is, we want to make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, resourced, and time-bound. So if we have a goal, let's say our goal is losing weight, and we write down here under physical goal, it's losing weight. Do we put a check mark next to specific? No, it's not specific enough. So that lets us know, well, it can't just be to lose weight because we won't know when we've accomplished the goal, right? So it has to be lose 5 pounds. Okay, so then lose 5 pounds, then we put a check mark under specific. Is it measurable? Yes, it is measurable to lose 5 pounds because I can step on the scale and see, well, did I lose the 5 pounds or not? That's why a goal like become more happy is not a SMART goal because it's not measurable. There's no scale you can use to see, I've achieved 5 more points of happiness. And then we look at, is it achievable? So yes, losing 5 pounds is achievable. If your goal was to lose 20 pounds, we would mark an X there, right? Not achievable. Hey, come on in. And so that will let you know that your goal is properly scoped. And is it resourced? Well, the only thing you really need is the scale. So yes, it is resourced. A lot of times we need kind of certain material things or certain measuring things or different kind of things to accomplish our goals. And so we put a check mark next to resource. And is it time bound? Oops, I forgot to say how long I wanted to do it in. I want to lose 5 pounds in 2 days. Well, whoops, it's not achievable, okay? So it's not a SMART goal. So I want to lose 5 pounds in 2 months, okay? So great, it's time bound. So we put a check there. So now we know our goal is a SMART goal. I want to lose 5 pounds in 2 months. That's how you know the goal is properly scoped. That is if it is specific, measurable, achievable, resourced, and time-bound. Questions or comments about that? Does anybody have a goal they'd like to share? And so you don't have that many. I only gave you 2 spaces for each of personal goals, professional goals, spiritual goals, physical goals, mental goals, and family goals. You know, if you fill up all 2 spaces, it's too much. You can't change your life that much. And that brings up a good question about, well, how far along is this supposed to be? This is supposed to be your goal for the next 4 to 5 months. You're supposed to write these goals. Obviously, you can write goals that are longer term, but we're going to revisit this again in about 4 or 5 months. We do this about twice a year. So it's okay if you just write, three goals on this side, as long as you're going to work toward them. Does anybody have a goal they'd like to share?
I had a goal to get back into the habit of reading a book, but I was too specific and I had a book that I wanted to read, which didn't happen. But at least it helped me. So I was like at a point that I'm like, okay, this book I just can't go through. So I started reading different genre of a book, and now I'm hooked onto it. So since that goal, I have read at least like 15 to 20 books.
That's
and I haven't
great.
read a books in like a long time.
Yeah.
So it's like getting back into that rhythm helped me because of this sheet. But it wasn't like, I didn't achieve the specific book, but it helped me with the general goal.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I always like to hear success stories. Hey, come on in. Any other questions or comments? And the one thing you have to remember is, when you look at this, let's say this is your third time doing this, right? Don't feel bad that you haven't accomplished any of the goals that you wrote down last time. That's the last thing you want to do. That's one of the rules for using this. That is, sitting here and thinking about your life for an hour and writing things down is worth it in and of itself, right? Even if you didn't accomplish the goal. The purpose is not to make you feel bad for not accomplishing the goal. That's not what I mean when I say, let's hold each other accountable, let's hold yourself accountable. Because then you won't want to do it later. If it's a source of emotional pain for you, you won't want to do it later, and then you'll stop doing it altogether. So don't ever feel bad. Some of you, this is the 10th time you're doing it and you haven't accomplished anything. Don't feel bad. Okay, that's not the point. Because it is worth it just to sit here and think about our lives for an hour. Because when was the last time you did it? Probably the last time you did it here.
I think with discipline, it would be possible to achieve a lot of goals, but to develop that discipline itself, it's a tough thing.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, it's easy for us to say, it's very hard for us to do. And I want to try to make it, do whatever we can to make it easier to do. And whether that means using our time right now to do it, or whether that means helping you in other different ways, I want to try to make it easier to do, because it's easy to say. It's hard once we go out, to keep track of this paper, to, remember it every day, to think about your goals, and because it's painful to realize that you're a slave, right? It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy to admit to yourself that I'm 50 years old. Now that I realize that I need to take control of my life, I realize that I wasted 50 years.
Yes.
It's not easy. But it's important that we do that, and it's important to make use of the time that we have left.
And I feel like I have a time and resources, only thing I don't have motivation. But then I look for a motivation outside, which I know that not the right place to look for. I should get motivated from inside. And still, after few days again, I want to follow the same pattern of living a life, how have been living, but then again, it's a cycle.
How can we help? Does anybody have any help as far as this motivation issue? That is, not being motivated to accomplish your goals. You write the goals, but then it's hard to be motivated to do the work to accomplish the goal.
Find a partner with similar goal.
Find a partner with similar goals, so maybe a gym buddy, like that, if we continuing our example. And then, you can help use them for motivation. That's great.
I think knowing why you want this goal.
Right.
I find that it's really important to me to know the whys behind everything I do.
Right. And so, but you might know why. You might know, but let's say I want to lose weight. I know why, because I want to be more healthy. I want to live longer. I want to have a better lifestyle. I want to be more mobile. But knowing why, does that make it easier to point my car in the direction of the gym? For you, it does? If you focus on
if I don't know why, it's harder.
Oh, it's harder.
I don't want to do stuff I don't know why I'm doing it.
Of course.
But knowing why is important to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'll do it, but not knowing why, definitely I won't do it.
Right.
Tim, we've done this like a couple times since I've been here.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is we're motivated to do it. We obviously write it, right? So we're trying to do the right thing. I think we even do it. But when we stop doing it, we stop doing
Right.
it. So the continuation of that, and like, you know, this accountability partner or someone like that, what are other ways to go get back on the bandwagon or get back on track? Or, you know?
Right. So, does anybody have any help? So we start to do it and then we stop. So how do we start again?
It's like I think a good example is like we're all used to routine. We talk about routine, right? And then the summer comes and the routine goes away.
Right.
And then we can't wait until school starts, so we get back into routine with our kids and our lives and whatever else, right?
Right.
And so we are forced to go do that, right? You know, but when you're not forced by, I guess, other sources to go do what you want, what you're required to do for others, how do you go do it for yourself like that, right?
I have two answers for you. Three answers for you. One, you increase the frequency at which you do this exercise. That the time, because if you're falling off, then the times that we do it is not enough for you.
You mean to redo the sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that will help you stay on.
Okay.
Right? Because you'll be like, oh, am I working? Oh, I fell off. So then it
So
won't
instead of
be
5 days,
3 months that you realize you fell off. It'll be like, oh, I stopped doing it, 3 weeks ago. I need to get back on. The second thing I have for you is because we talk about the goal should be time bound. So then decrease the time. Because if you find yourself falling off, then it was too long. So decrease the time, and then you'll start to rack up wins. And sometimes it's like a goal where you do want to continue doing it for the rest of your life. Let's say it's just your prayers, right? Let's just pick an easy one. And you realize, oh, you stopped saying your prayers. Well, you want to keep doing that for the rest of your life, but just say, I want to do it for 3 months. And then you revisit it and you say, great, I did it. That's a win. I'm going to do another one and I'm going to do it for 3 months. And then you revisit it and say, oh, great, that's a win. I'm going to do another one and do it for 3 months, like that. So decrease the time for the goals that you're setting. And the next one is a little bit more abstract. That is, you and me and a lot of us have been living in a period of kind of unprecedented stability. And we haven't realized that. So when you say, the summer came and I fell off because we had to do the kids and we did this traveling and stuff and things like that. Well, most people live lives where they don't know what's going to happen next week, or they don't know what's going to happen next month. They're in a totally different situation. Most of people in history have lived that kind of life. And so once you realize that all of life is like that, you have to do these goals in spite of your life moving up and down and your relationships moving up and down and your family moving up and down. And you'll start to realize while looking at the bigger picture that, oh yeah, talking about the summer, that was crazy. My life has been crazy for the last 3 months, and people live life like this and they still kind of work on their goals. So try to think about it from that perspective. Does anybody else have any help?
I was going to say too, in Atomic Habits, they always kind of say, try to break it down. It's like a 2-minute, easily achievable. So maybe reassess the achievability and, going back to yours, maybe not making your goal sound like, but making it a daily prayer of a few minutes or whatever it is. Assess the achievability of it and make it into a smaller component.
I can give you another example of, so in this group, we did this, we're going to do a no-car rally every day. Okay? So whoever wanted to do it, we created a WhatsApp group. And everyone was kind of just, they would put a check mark or something like that. So someone not to tell other ones that they did it, but to motivate someone else to say that, hey, did you do yours, right? Like kind of deal, right? Yeah. So that went on for a quite good time, maybe 8 months, 9 months,
9
right?
months,
Right.
yeah.
And then hibernation came, and it just went away,
But
so-
was it time bound? What was the time?
Well, the time was to do it every day, right?
Yeah.
And
That's not time bound.
But
So
well,
you best stop filling out the chart.
No, well, I mean,
It has to end.
The time bound was to keep doing it every day that you can do it, right? And it wasn't that we wanted it to end at all. Actually, we just wanted to make it a practice. We did it for 8 months. 8 months is like a long time. That's a lifetime.
I'm not
change,
trying
right?
to
You know?
diminish your win.
No,
That's an
no,
amazing
no,
thing.
I'm
That's an
not
amazing
trying to
thing.
defend my win.
But I'm saying it wasn't
saying
a
it's a
smart
win
goal
either.
because you misinterpreted what time bound meant. So
Yeah.
it should have been, let's do this for 6 months. Or let's do this for 1 month. And then once you did it, you'd have been great. Check mark. Do we want to do it for another round?
Okay, all right. I thought it was just going on, so we all just kept doing it. I didn't,
Is
you know,
there a
that's-
reason why you can't start it up again? Do you
No, I
wanna
just gotta
start
go
it
hit
up
check
again?
box, but I gotta get motivated to go do that check box, right? All I'm saying is that even though we had accountability, even though we had like-minded people that were more than one, there were, there were probably 5 of us, 6 of us, I don't know, whatever number of people in it, and you know, a lot of people didn't do it. A lot of people made it up. Instead of doing it daily, they're like, hey, I'm gonna do it weekly. I gotta do 7. Boom, 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 boom. You see 7 checks, right? Which is fine. Like you know. But for me, I had a routine that allowed me to go do that in between something. That routine changed, so my thoughts changed of how to go do that, right? You know, and so I stopped doing it, and then I never put it back into routine for that.
Right. So doing this exercise more often and making sure that we understand what time bound means, that will help you. And so, because one of the reasons that this works is because it's easier to go the last month when you see the finish line at the end.
Right.
If it's just like, I'm doing this for the rest of my life, then you're going to fall off.
Got it.
So even if it's a goal that you do for the rest of your life, break it up into chunks, 3 month, whatever the right chunk is, whether it's a 6 weeks chunk, a 3 month chunk, a 6 month chunk, whatever the right is, it can't be just forever. Other questions or comments?
But is the ultimate goal that it becomes a part of your life for the rest of your life,
Absolutely.
right? Because if you make it a habit.
It depends on the goal, right? You can't lose weight for the rest of your life.
No, but then
you can't say a
once you
prayer for the
achieve
rest.
that, then you have to make a goal of maintaining that weight, right? That should be the next goal.
Yes. Great. Yes, and so ultimately you start to do these things and they fall off the list because it's just part of your life now. And then you have new ones. Okay, so let's take a look at the other side of this chart. It is called Spiritual Hygiene, Toolbox, and Regimen. And how this works is you have a toolbox on top. And you take things from the top and you put them in the table at the bottom, depending on how often you want to do that. So for example, and it's very important you choose the right one, right? A prayer might be something you can do daily. But pratikaman you probably can't do daily. So if you put it in there, you're going to fail. Right? So it's important that you pick the right one for you. So you pick, for example, a charity. Oh, I would like to do charity monthly on the first of each month. And so you write that down here, charity, and then you'd write what you want to do. Oh, let me set up auto pay to this charity that I like, and I'll set it up for monthly on each month, and that's my charity. Or you can say, oh, volunteering or service. I want to do that yearly. I want to do that on a specific date. And then you write down the date. So that's how this works. And then there are blanks here because this is not the entirety of the toolbox. Your toolbox is anything you want to do. Your toolbox is the book. It's anything you want to do as far as Jainism. And so these blanks are here to remind you that, oh, you write your own stuff in too. It's not just, this is just, kind of to stimulate your brain as to what you can do or what you might not want to do. I mean. And so if you don't know what these are, then it's a good time to find out what they are. Like if you don't know what the 12 bhavnas are, that's in the book, right? If you don't know what the 5 codes of conduct are, that's in the book. And if you don't know what the 35 qualities are, that's in the book too. So that's maybe a good reason to look up something in a book.
What's physical hardship?
Physical hardship means staying in the same place for a certain amount of time. It means, for example, you may decide to sit down in the same place for 48 minutes. Physical hardship might mean taking a cold shower. Physical hardship might mean not sleeping on your bed, but sleeping on the floor. Those kinds of things. Things to remind you that you're not your body, but you're a soul.
How do you determine modesty?
You look in the book. There are ways to be modest that are in the book. So it's different for different people based on where you are on the kind of spiritual path. For some people, that might mean on one day I'm not going to interact with members of the opposite sex. For some people, it might mean on one day or on weekly I'm going to think about how I dress and I'm going to dress modestly. For some people, it might mean daily I'm not going to curse. I'm going to implement a curse jar, and every time I curse, I'm going to put money in the jar. So it depends on where you are, what modesty is for you.
This is good.
Would anybody like to share something that they want to do?
I tried last time the tech-free day.
How did it go?
Halfway done.
Yeah?
Not fully day. Full day did not.
Tell me how you did it. In the morning, you turned off your phone, and then...
The night before.
Okay.
Right. You turn the phone, watches, everything away. It was the weekend. Thought like Saturday, Sunday I'll try it. Probably most part of Saturday I did. I ended up watching TV with the family on Saturday night.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. That's great. Yeah. You lasted from Friday night till Saturday night? Yeah. That's good.
What was the hardest part?
Actually, none, honestly, if you think about it. If it's no distraction, actually, you can achieve a lot more stuff, right? So, TV was just one of the things that we were going to do, and I just did not push back on that part. But other than that, I think there was nothing critical. So I told my kids, when we had a power loss, let's do it again. And they all went, oh, no, we need to keep checking when the power is coming back. So they were on the phone on that part. But but no, I think not that hard at all, actually.
So the next day when you had your technology back, did you spend more time on
Less
it
time.
to catch up?
No, it was less time, honestly. I mean, you do that when you actually absolutely have to. Monday starts, go to office, everything goes back.
Right.
Yes, that's right. So it's only I could do it on the weekends.
Would anybody else like to share something that they want to do? Or even, not a success story, but a fail story. We welcome those too.
I have one goal that I have been writing on this sheet since the first time I got this sheet. I'm very addicted to my phone, and I admit that I have that issue. I just mindlessly scroll all the time, right? And while I understand I shouldn't be doing it because of the kids and everything, I made one small goal. Okay, while I'm at the dinner table, I won't use it because that should be the easiest, right?
Right.
It's 30, 45 minutes because we always eat dinner together. So I'm like, okay, that one time at least if I can stop. But they always ask me these questions about schedules and stuff, and everything is on my phone. All my calendars are, what do I have tomorrow? Because dinner table is when we have a time to discuss about routines and everything. So I'm at a loss. Without my phone, I can't answer all those.
Right.
So then we also tried, okay, let's try to figure that out. There were days where we didn't have to talk about it. But then my husband, Piyush, will start using his phone. And I'm like, I don't have a phone, but you have a phone now. So I guess it's a really big struggle for me to not use a phone. But that's again on my list again. So we'll see one day, hopefully.
Do we have any help? Does anybody have any recommendations?
think what I have started doing is keeping the phone on the charging, so it's way in my room.
I have done that. I'll go and pick it up because I have a question to answer.
Yeah, so for calendar, we've got the physical, the cardboard calendar, and all the personal appointments or birthday parties, you call it, we put that in the calendar instead of on the phone. And that way, if say your kid asks you what is it on the weekend, you could tell him to go get the calendar and you can look it up.
We tried that also. I'm sorry. Like we have tried so many different things. So we have a wall calendar, so all the major activities, appointment, everything is there. But then there are so much involved in the clubs, and school has these parades and this and that, like so many things on the daily basis. I can't, like I don't have energy to fill up all that into calendar, and kids honestly don't have time to fill up everything, right? There are small things,
10
or the
minutes.
test or stuff like that.
Can you not have dinner and then do that?
Yeah, exactly. 10 minutes before or after.
After
Carve off the
dinner.
time
Or
just
like
to
set
discuss
up a
that.
meeting time, schedule a meeting time.
Just write it
just
down
to
on a sheet
discuss
of
the
paper that,
schedule.
hey, okay, this is what we gotta do, and then after dinner, just go do it.
Yeah.
Just
Or-
add it to your calendar or whatever.
You write down the things which you remember all and just tell the kids before dinner, saying that, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Am I missing anything? You know, that way it covers up everything and point, and that's it.
When we go out with our kids to restaurants and we go with someone else, we ask them for a non-basket and we throw all our phones in and give it back to them. Because that's the only way that people are off their phones all the time,
Yeah.
right? Now it's different, like if someone's waiting for a call or like whatever, but in most cases, like it works out, especially for our kids to go do that, right? And the problem is if you don't do it, then your kids are like, well, you got it, give me your
Yeah.
phone. It's like, no, that's not working out.
by
you know?
example.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Okay, maybe yeah, I think that's a good idea. Try to time out, like carve out some time just to talk.
I mean, listen, you don't even have to, like, you can do it for 15 minutes and then do 20, like Tim's right? You know, like you measure the goal, right? So you can do it for 15 minutes, like finish your dinner or do it for half an hour, then do it.
You know, one
That's
thing I
still a win.
started saying to my kids is, I don't know. So maybe if they ask you what the schedule is when it's dinner time and you're not supposed to have your phone, maybe you could say, I don't know.
Maybe you should know, it's your schedule.
And they'll be like, well, don't you have the thing? And be like, oh yeah, but I can't use my phone. We're not using my phone. I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to see what's going on in your life. Yeah, we got to talk about our schedules and stuff, but I don't know. I can't help you. And so I think that it's okay to say that in front of your kids. A lot of times we might not think it's okay to not know. But in fact, it's probably better if you say, I don't know, a bunch to your kids. Because then they might start opening the dictionary by themselves or to figure out how to spell a word, or then they might start seeing you're a human being, or maybe they might start thinking that it's okay for them to say, I don't know. And of course, that's okay. It's better to say, I don't know, than give somebody the wrong answer.
So I want to actually. Go ahead.
This schedule. Yes, I second that because I started doing that with Rish, mainly the older one, because he depends on like, Daddy, you know all the answers. So I started saying, no, you figure it out.
Right,
Right.
right.
So I don't know. If you want to go somewhere, you write it down.
Right.
You tell me 30 minutes in advance if you want to go somewhere. I'm not going to keep up with your guy. And he's late most of the time. But that's him, not me now.
And I'll tell you guys a little secret, but if you promise not to tell my kids. Sometimes I do know, but I say I don't know. You might want to try that. That's advanced technique right there. Sometimes I actually do know.
Is that really Jane?
But I say, maybe not. I haven't thought about it. Yes.
So I want to actually going to work on it, but I mean, as a family, we all live together. But I don't know how much consciously we spend time together and we accept it and understand it that we are family and we are like together, we stand by each other. That I feel like should be the 10 minutes activity or something like that. We sit together, pray together, and pass on the message saying that, okay, at least 4 of us are together in this journey right now and stand by each other. Because I met few old people and they said, that we have to wait for our kids call, or we, it's like a kind of that. So they said spend that 10 minutes, 15 minutes to put that in mind, that we are as one family, and we need each other. So when they grow up and all, they feel it, and we also feel very comfortable, and you pass on that energy in the house at least, and not as a like, oh, we are leaving, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this,
Right.
So consciously you are feeling like we are a part of each other's life, which,
I'm so glad you brought that up. We have some extra sheets. Can you guys take some extra sheets? And if your spouse is not here, give them to your spouse. If your kids are not here, give them to your kids. And then tell them, like, hey, this is what I'm working on. What do you think? Can you take this? Can you fill it out? Or see what... Can we do something like a family? Because I have like family goals here, but they should have input into their family goals, right? So there's kind of a different sheet that we sometimes use that's called like a family goal sheet, and it has different categories like travel and like celebration and chores and things like that. You can easily find it online. But that's something great to do like around the dinner table or something like that is, hey, let's talk about these family goals and like what we want to do. And do we want to pray together, once a week? Or do we want to do this activity together as a family so we're not just moving in different directions? I think that's great. And I'm so glad you brought it up. And of course, we always want to think about, well, how do we get our kids to understand that goal setting is important? Or that the spiritual toolbox is important. Anybody have any ideas there?
Just on the family thing, is that at odds with getting rid of attachments? Because then you're forming a larger attachment to your family. Right?
Sure, absolutely. But it depends what your goals are, right? Your goal might be to do everything all the time, and that's certainly admirable, but it's not, achievable, and it's not time-bound. So certainly if one person could have the goal of, well, I want to be closer to the family, and another person could have the goal of, well, I want to start decreasing the attachments to my relationships. It depends where you are along the spiritual path.
And by creating the bonding only, you can tell someone, like, I don't know Nick, but once I create the bonding with him, I can share more, I can tell more, and then we can say, this is how our goal is. Even as a partners, all of us has not only goal to just fulfill the duties, but according to our Jainism to, reach to a stage where we reach to, that level of,
right,
moksha, atma and all.
Right.
So that is what our goal is, but if we don't create that bonding, and if I'm going to tell my partner or my kids, they're not going to listen to me. But today I am able to talk to my kids everything, and they take it positively, they respond to me, and even my 10-year-old kid is feel free to talk to me anything. So he tells me now, Daddy, you didn't do that, Daddy. And then I said, I didn't do this because of this, or like this or this.
Right.
So they are feel freely to tell me that I'm doing this because of this, because this, and because this. So
right.
I'm able to have that communication, which is pretty good. Like today morning, I told my daughter that yesterday I noticed, usually you don't spend too much time on the phone, but yesterday I noticed that you spent like 2 hours on it. And she says, you are right, Daddy, I spent it. So I felt like so good that she accepted.
Yeah.
And she says, I'll take care of that. So it's nice that we create that bonding and make them feel safe that in any event we are not going to react, we are going to talk.
Right.
So
what do you think your kids might list for these? Obviously, professional goals would be student goals there, how they're doing in school there.
I think he's going to fill family goal section first. It should be directed towards some vacation or something.
Yeah, that might be a nice exercise, is to try to predict, what they might want for themselves. Or how do we even convince our kids? Our kids live very regimented lives. People are saying, go here, go here, go here, do this, do this, do this. A lot of times they don't know what they want because they're not in that position to have that kind of agency over their life. So they might look at this and say, they might laugh at it like, you think I have the agency that you have they won't say that, but that's the idea that will be presented. Should they have goals? Yeah, I think they should. I think they should have goals, and they should work towards accomplishing those goals.
One of the things I felt worked out well for me in past is you ask your child, I've asked my son, hey, what can I do better? That would, is there something that I can improve upon or do something different? Well, yeah, there's a list there, right? But you can take one or two things that's on their mind and you can make that as your goal, right? Like they may come up with something that, Dad, when you do this, that really bothers me.
Right.
And sometimes you don't even realize when you ask that question, it can be so easy that you may not be even thinking about it, right? But to your point, we always tell them do this, do that. But you ask for a feedback, and as long as it's not a list, right? But if you have something that comes, the first thing comes off, you can make that as your goal and see how you can. But then, why that helped me is now I can ask reverse question.
Yes.
As in, hey, but I'll do this. Can you do this, right? And that's your goal.
Right.
So.
And I do the same thing, and they also tell me that, remember I asked you that time and then you reacted how? I didn't like it when you reacted it, but I didn't say anything. So yes, I do this activity almost every week. What do you think? How did I do this week? So like that way, just to, because we expect so much from them, they also should be able to ask, how did I do it?
Right.
And not as a parent, I'm taking.
And generally, their asks are not that big.
Yeah, that not big. Yeah.
It will be something very small.
Very small, exactly. So like I give you the example. 2 days ago, they had a boba. They like boba, so they had a boba last week. This week they didn't wanted to have a boba, but they did so good, behaved so well. I said, who wants to have a boba? And both kids said yes. And then I said, okay, but you know that you guys had a boba last week, and now if we are having a boba, we'll have boba after a month then. And then they both asked me, so this boba is coming with the condition? And I said, no, I just said it because it's not healthy and it's expensive too.
Right.
So they said, yeah, but is it coming with the condition? I said, yeah, that's not the right way. I said that let's have a boba, but we already have 2 weeks. So can we skip for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks and then have it? And they said, yeah, that's okay. We are okay with that, but don't put the condition with what you are suggesting. So that was a good one.
We're so used to thinking in the long term for them.
Yes.
That it's hard for us to stop.
Most of the time with the kids, it's the words we say, like how we say versus what we are trying to say.
Yes.
And it is very hard to work, right? Like when you're frustrated or in a rush or something, you just blurt it out. You're not mindful of saying
It is
words.
very easy for us to think that we are more important than
Right.
them,
Important than that.
And that's a false
Yes.
way of coming across.
So give this to your family, and if you don't have it, you can print it out from the website and see what they want to do with it. Maybe they don't want it at all. And if you find yourself losing track of the paper, you can take a picture of it with your phone. And it's going to be hard for you to find it later, so take 10 pictures so you can see when you're scrolling. So then it's easy for you to see because it'll take up a whole row.
Put it on your screen, right?
Yeah, and make it your homepage, and then you can. It'll be like a mantra. Remember, mantras work, right? Mantras are not magic, but mantras work because they're mindfulness. That's why mantras work. And so if you put this on your fridge and you see it every day, you'll be like, oh yeah, I had that goal. I forgot I had that goal. I have some time, or when can I schedule some time to accomplish it? And then that way you can make it work for you. Other questions or comments? I know you don't want to think about your life, but we still have 15 minutes to think about your life. Everybody's packing up, but we're still here. It's hard, isn't it?
Well, I guess I just have a question. We're all different ages here. So my kids, you've seen my little daughter, she's 2. So the same lessons that you guys would apply as with older kids is not yet applicable for me. I'm just curious if you guys have any. Some of it is, right? I have a 5-year-old who I think would be worthwhile to sit down and have some of these discussions with. But I guess my overall question in the group is now: is there any advice you would have for some of us who have younger kids on what we could do, or that you feel you could have or should have done differently? That would be helpful for me. And I know Nitesh and Akash over here.
I feel like I wish I would have spent, spent time consciously with them and also done activities with them, which are very motivating, positive activities. Then from the childhood only they are seeing and doing good, not seeing only. Just bringing Jainism class and oh, you know what, doing activities and spending time with them, playing with them. I think I would have done a better job. But definitely we were all. But I would say it's good for you that. Yeah.
But here is the thing, it's never too late, right? Because
Yeah,
sometimes we all say
it's
we
never
got
too
busy.
late. It's never
right?
too late. Yeah, I completely.
It's for everybody, not you. I mean, for me
Only
as
thing
well.
is, right now at this age, we have to tell them when we do this activity. We don't have to tell them. They are learning it by some. Yeah, they are just learning it. We don't even have to tell them, and they pick up those things. Just hey, this is how we live or do it.
Actually, at a younger age, you probably get more repetitive routineness happening, right? Because you'll be on vacation, they'll be like, oh, we didn't do this, right? Or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I would tell you that that would be a very good thing. And the other thing is like when Rhea and Dia were young, when Rhea's my older one, when we used to do something with her, Dia would be like, hey, when is my chance to go do it? So she was more like, she actually wanted to go do it sooner than the other one wanted to, but because she just wanted to be a part of the thing, right?
Yeah.
You know? So it's important to bring inclusiveness to it. You know, in all our professional careers, we do like all these team building and brainstorming things. We don't do that at home.
No.
Yeah.
You know, but that's exactly what we should be doing. You know, because that's how we realize each other's strengths, right? Each other's areas of where we can focus and help someone, right? And, you know, I keep telling my kids all the time, I was like, the only people that are going to help you are these 4 people in this room, right? You know, like at any point in time. But if you can't communicate with them efficiently, right? Or someone doesn't know that you're going through something, it's just, that's where all these challenges start. Right? So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah.
One of the advice I got from this group a couple months ago or last year sometime, is to appreciate even on their positive thing. Because as a parent, we tend to yell at them when they do the things wrong, but we don't appreciate or acknowledge when they're doing something right.
Yeah.
So I have tried to change that habit, and I can see like my younger one gets so happy just because I said, oh, I'm so proud of you, or you did great. Or you're just, like, he's trying his best. He may not be like up right there where my older one is, but it just makes him feel so much better and happy, and his attitude changes completely. So that's something to think of.
The acknowledgement of their effort.
Yeah.
In the positive.
And also Nick said, have a communication.
Yes, Ginjo.
Yes, so I've tried my level best on this conditional thing on my kids, is because they don't listen, right? If you tell them to do something, they don't. So I put this condition: if you don't get ready, like this morning, I told my older one, if you don't get ready by 9:15, you won't see your phone for 1 day. And I kid you not, he was ready. But I tried this without putting condition. It just doesn't work. And I know with this group we have worked on not putting condition, but I think I've failed on implementing it without condition. What's your advice on that?
Right. So how do we get our children to do what they need to do without the threat of punishment?
Correct.
Isn't every kid is differently wired? Like,
Sure.
it might work on some it may not work, and it backfires. So
Does anybody have any help?
Is there something like natural consequences? Like if you don't get ready by 9:30, this car is gonna leave with or without you.
Right. But we can't leave like a
I don't know how
Sure,
old his
yeah.
kids are,
Yeah.
but like I don't have a problem leaving my 11-year-old, but
Right.
he would never let me do that.
Right. Right.
He's too much like no, like I can't let them fail.
Right.
Where I'm like, it's okay to fail. That's how they'll learn.
So you bring up a good point about being on the same page.
Yeah, we're not on the same
No,
page.
I'm not specifically talking about you. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
Like as your kids get older, if I told one of my daughters that, hey, if you're not ready, I'm leaving, be like, great, then just leave.
But they didn't want to come in the first place. That's the problem.
They're like, you know what, I'm tired, I'll just leave, whatever. Right? They have their own. What I'm telling you is that you've now caused like another thing. So you have to, first of all, everyone has to be aligned for the goal, right? I think that's the mistake, like the fundamental mistake. That is everyone going and doing something, like specifically if he's talking about going to temple, are we all engaged in going, right? So we know our Saturday night, we're gonna be home by a certain time, so we are able to go on Sundays.
Yeah, but
That's on us to make sure that our schedule, our ability, our expectation is this, right? Now, it's also helped that my mother-in-law, she's like, hey, I want to ride. So I'm like, hey, great. Get here at 9:15. They hear the door open. They're like, oh, shoot, right? Like, you know, so that's like, you know, pushing them, motivating them that, hey, you know, Nani's here, I got to go. Now my parents are here. So they're like, they're now more engaged to make sure they're on time to go do that, right? And then that's the same thing, I feel like Barcelona homework is like that too, right? You know, like the whole week goes by and it's like the night before that, hey, I got Barcelona homework. What were you doing for the whole week, right? You know? And it's like, it's an aftermath because of all the other things that are resetting the priority, or supposedly resetting the priority for them, right? You know? So, and this phone thing, I didn't think my 13-year-old needed a phone, but we got her a phone because we were misaligned. She now has lost her phone for like a day, a week, a month, 3 months. Like there's no end to it, right? I'm like, just cancel a number, you know. But that doesn't solve it, right? Like we have to help them understand how to use the tool properly. When you start at a new work, they give you a laptop, they train you, they teach you, whatever. We just gave them a phone and said, here, right? This is how you call us. We added our number. We had. Then they started doing their own stuff, right? So part of that is like, I think on us because we didn't set the right expectation. We didn't set the right way to go do something, right? And now it's like out of control and we can't rope it back in. I'm just speaking about myself.
No, but I do agree there because, you know, Krish has a phone. Of course, he has limitations, you know, that's what he's talking about. But he only gets 1 minute for all his app. And then he has to ask us for time. But that 1 minute, he'll just use it. As soon as he gets up, he'll just use that 1 minute for all the app. He'll go to YouTube, he'll go to TikTok, I mean, every single app, you imagine. But then that he has to have it and get it out of his system, then he's okay. But all his friends have Insta, nobody has Facebook, but TikTok or whatever others, he's like, I want it. I'm like, you're not old enough, you don't need it, we don't go anywhere. But the fight is constant, you know, the phone, and it's that they don't even want to call each other, they just want to put stories out there.
Yeah, that's what they do.
And that is the fight that we have, you know.
Other tips? Yes.
I'm sorry. I want to come back to my
Other tips for trying to get our kids to do the right thing without the threat of punishment.
You know what we have, I'll tell the group what I've tried. So I've tried like this morning. Yesterday we went to sleep early on time. This morning I woke them up early around 8. So I did everything to make sure we are not rushing at 9:30 to leave, to set expectations right. The thing is that 8 o'clock I tried to wake him up. He woke up at 8:30. I said, still we have 1 hour to leave. Perfect. Now he is dragging. Other thing I've done is, if you don't help him preparing breakfast, you're not getting breakfast. I know that sounds negative, but I think that's the only way I can motivate him.
Right.
So now, both the kids came in, they helped in the kitchen, they warmed their own milk, they warmed their bread, made avocado toast, emptied the dishwasher. They don't get any benefit like, Daddy, all my friends get this thing because they help me. Like, then live with their parents.
Right.
This is their normal children.
Right.
Right? But this is all, it's not coming from inside. It's like me dragging them or my wife dragging them into this.
Right. So what you're talking about is inception, right? You have to make them want to do it on their own. And the reason they don't want to do it is because they don't understand why they have to do it. So one thing, and the problem is that it's extremely hard to make them want to do it because we have to do a lot of emotional work. And specifically with our children, what we've been trying to tell them is we're trying to get you ready to go to college. To go to college, you have to know how to wash your dishes. You have to know how to do your laundry. And then they say, well, why do I need to do that? Before I go to college, I'll learn that. I said, no, you learn that now because we have other things to teach you before you go to college too. If you don't learn that now, then you don't learn the other stuff. Like you have to know how to cook if you're in an apartment in college, And so that requires a lot of emotional lifting on our part. And unfortunately, the answer I have for you, it is an answer, but it's not the one you want to hear, is that you have to talk with them. And like Nick was saying, have your goals be aligned. Well, the reason I didn't wake up is because I don't want to go to Patsala. You have to make them understand why they would want to and what they get out of it. What do they get out of getting up and going to Patsala? It might just be they want to do it because they see their friends. That's great. Make a friend at Patsala. Amazing, But this is about your soul. This is about, remember when we did that meditation, that was for Patsala. This is how Jainism is helping me live my life, and that's what I want for you. So the answer to your question is, to get them to do the right thing without the threat of punishment is you have to incept into them why they would want to do that. And it's hard work because you might do all that work and they still might not want to do it. And then you realize they're a person and we have to work around this. We have to work person to person on this. You have to give some and they have to give some. And so it's very hard. It's very hard. Thank you for your time this week. I really appreciate that. Thanks to everybody joining us online as well.
Guys, make sure the podcast doesn't go out of the loop.
No, this is no good.
No good?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.